not counting gang violence. Great.
We've got video. He came off the roof. He came up here to the parking lot, got in the car with an individual, and they drove away. Well, that's not the story that came.
So many questions remain unanswered. Why was key evidence sealed under national security? A phrase meant to protect the powerful, not the people. Why did Robinson's family remain silent from beginning to end? Was it grief or fear? And most haunting of all, if Tyler Robinson wasn't the killer, then who pulled the trigger? The truth is out there, but until we demand it, until we refuse to be distracted by their scripted narrative, the real story will stay buried. Subscribe right now if you believe unanswered questions are not justice. And if you don't, then be bold enough to say it in the comments. Explain why you're okay letting the truth rot in silence. This isn't just Tyler Robinson's story. This is a story about power, silence, and the cost of truth. If you believe this case deserves answers, drop one word in the comments. TRUTH. If you don't, then write your reason. Tell us why you choose silence over justice. Subscribe now, because voices like yours are the only weapon against corruption. Share this video because exposure is the enemy of lies. And remember, silence has always been the shield of those who betray us. They told you Tyler Robinson was the shooter. They told you he was radical, violent, dangerous. But what if I told you Tyler Robinson wasn't the assassin at all, but the decoy? Tonight, I'm going to show you how the FBI may have used him, not to reveal the truth, but to bury it. Subscribe if you believe in truth. Subscribe if you believe in justice. Subscribe because the mainstream will never give you this story. Subscribe because corruption thrives in silence. Subscribe because if we don't hold power accountable, no one will. And if you refuse, then say it. Drop a comment right now and explain why you don't want justice. Tell us why the truth scares you. This isn't just another crime story. This is the story that changes how you see power forever. It begins in chaos, a public event, sirens tearing through the night, one gunshot, and suddenly the crowd erupts in panic, scattering for safety. Authorities didn't hesitate. They moved fast, too fast, naming Tyler Robinson as the shooter within minutes. The headline screamed the same rehearsed line: shooter in custody, case closed. But those who were actually there, they remember something very different. A rifle abandoned on a rooftop, 3 live rounds still inside the magazine, and a suspect, Tyler Robinson, who, according to witnesses, never even aimed a weapon. So you tell me, was this justice served, or a story scripted to keep you from asking questions? Authorities wasted no time painting Tyler Robinson as the lone gunman. They branded him angry. They branded him radical. They branded him armed. But his family, they're telling a story that doesn't match the script. Look closely, because they did. The blurry figure climbing those stairs, that isn't Tyler, they insist. The jawline doesn't line up. The face is sharper, narrower. And the man in that photo walks with a limp, something Tyler Robinson never had. Not once in his life. So who do you believe? The officials desperate to close this case fast, or a family demanding that we look again, because the man in that image may not be their son at all? And then silence. No podium, no interviews, no fiery demands for justice. The Robinson family stayed quiet, completely quiet. To investigators, that silence was convenient. They called it guilt. To analysts, that silence was chilling. They called it fear. But let's be honest, silence doesn't just happen. Silence is manufactured. Silence is pressured. And in this case, silence may be the loudest evidence of all. So here's my question to you. If you believe silence speaks louder than lies, hit that subscribe button right now. And if you don't, then say it out loud in the comments. Tell us why you're okay with justice being buried under silence. Then came the voices they didn't want you to hear. Journalists started digging. Whistleblowers stepped forward. And suddenly, the narrative cracked wide open. Some claimed Tyler Robinson wasn't just a suspect. He was a recruit. Buried filings in sealed archives described him as a confidential source. So ask yourself, was Tyler planted that night, not as a shooter, but as bait? One former agent went on record: "You'll never see the real shooter in the paperwork." Another whispered that Robinson was nothing more than a distraction, a pawn sacrificed to shield someone higher up the chain. But here's the problem: no names, no open files, no clean proof, just shadows the FBI hopes you'll stop chasing. So let me put it to you. If you believe whistleblowers deserve to be heard, subscribe right now. And if you don't, then leave a comment and explain why you'd rather trust silence over truth. Timelines are supposed to clear things up, but here, they only make it messier. The official record claims Tyler Robinson was arrested at 9:42 p.m., yet the radio dispatch logs say he was already in custody 15 minutes earlier, and multiple witnesses swear they saw him sitting handcuffed in a vehicle before the final shot was even fired. So what do we believe? The neat timeline written in polished reports, or the raw accounts of people who actually lived it? Because if the timeline itself doesn't add up, then neither does the case. Subscribe right now if you believe the truth can't be rewritten to fit a script. And if you don't, then I challenge you, drop a comment and explain why you're okay with timelines that lie. Cases like this never exist in a vacuum. When the suspect seems too convenient, you have to ask who really benefits. Some point to political pressure leaders desperate for a quick arrest to calm the headlines. Others point to money contracts, donors, agendas buried deep in the shadows. And then comes the darker theory that Tyler Robinson was expendable. Not the villain, but the pawn. A name the system could burn, a body they could sacrifice. So the real trigger man would stay hidden in plain sight. So ask yourself, do you want to keep swallowing the story they fed you? Or do you want the truth? Subscribe right now if you refuse to be played by a system built on cover-ups. And if you don't, then drop a comment and explain why you're fine with lies winning over justice.